Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to the Beyonding podcast. I am Myra Capri. Of course, I am joined here by my amazing co host, Kylie Carr. And y'all, we have some special guests that I cannot wait to introduce because these women, let me just tell you, this conversation is going to be powerful. These women are true, just powerhouses, bosses, and I can even call sisters at this point, and you'll see why as I introduce them and tell you about the topic that we're going to talk about today. So, first, let me welcome ASEANTÉ RENEE, a licensed therapist, executive coach, and founder of the Axon Group, where she helps people create lives they don't need to escape. With over 2 decades of experience in trauma-informed care, she works at the intersection of healing, leadership, and sustainable growth. She's also the founder of the Susu House, a nonprofit breaking financial barriers to wellness for communities of the global majority. ASEANTÉ is the author of the Recovering Perfectionist, Amen Somebody, and host of the upcoming podcast. Can't wait to hear Who Told You That. Welcome, ASEANTÉ.
Hi, sis.
And we also have the amazing Gia Peppers. She is an award-winning on-air talent and entertainment journalist from Washington, D.C. She's the creator and host of the Healed Girl Era podcast and the nationally syndicated NAACP award-nominated show, More Than That, with Gia Peppers. Welcome, Gia.
Hi, thank you for having me. Hello, sister.
Yes.
Hello.
Yes. So, listen, we're going to talk about sisterhood. What is it? How does it manifest? And honestly, how it brought us to this moment, how we are recording this podcast right now, talking about this topic. I believe and have experienced that there is something truly powerful that happens when you gather women with intention, women that have pure hearts and that are purpose driven, impact driven. And these two women, of a few other women, are just that. We recently met at an invite only conference called Accelerate Her, founded or I guess curated by the amazing Kim Blackwell. And this conference brought us together. And you know, Kylie, how you know when you first meet someone that they're just family, like
Immediately.
immediately, right? And I think that is what really brought us together. We use the word sisterhood. And I want to just jump in and talk about what does that mean? Like you hear this word sisterhood. I want to first start and see what it means to you all and how does it differ in like different spaces? So, ASEANTÉ, I'll start with you. What is sisterhood to you?
Ooh. So here's the thing. I am coming to learn about sisterhood. The definition for me changes as the season changes. And the people who are truly in that sisterhood energy and space with me can ebb and flow with that as well.
Mm,
Because there's like I keep seeing the hood like it's a covering. And sometimes I need the covering. Sometimes I need
ooh,
accountability. Sometimes I need the care. Sometimes I need the I'm pulling up. Sometimes I need,
mm,
you wrong. And so a sister, like true sister, bonded sisterhood is someone who can be me for me, who can reflect me back to me, who allows me to be them for them. Someone who I can trust, someone where there's reciprocity, someone where there is a real investment in the best version of me. And that
ooh,
doesn't always look like I want it to look, but someone who loves me beyond what I'm comfortable with, and can still love me in the midst of my mess. And so
mm.
that, and then this particular season, that's what sisterhood looks like. And someone who can just kiki. Like if we can't kiki, what we doing? What are we doing?
What are we doing?
Oh, that's so good. So out the gate, the covering. I love that metaphor. The covering
Covering and kikiing.
and kikiing.
Covering the
Covering and
kiki.
kiki.
Covering the
That's
kiki.
it.
Yes. Yeah.
How about you, Gia?
So, first of all, Ashante said everything. I think in the same key, it's like a sacred heart space that exists between all of us, especially Black women. I think, especially when we are looking at our history in this country, Black women have had to hold space for each other in ways that we couldn't quite put the language to for hundreds of years. Whether that was, we the only two people taking care of everything, and we understand what it's like to feel tired. Let me take your kids, or I have no words. Let me just sit here with you. I think there's just a sacred heart space that is shared between Black women, that we have learned to exist and show up in, like Ashante was saying, from the kiki to the covering to the church house to the club. Like, it's one of those things where if you know your sister's there, you're good. If you know your sister is present with you, you can make it through a very tough time. And I think that's what I experienced with that conference, was like, everybody's going through a tough time. It doesn't matter what business sector you're in, whether you are a person who works in a Fortune 500 company or is a small business owner. Everyone came in there like, child, okay, we gonna get through this. And then by the end of those three days, I felt like everyone felt seen and heard and understood, and had a new deepened level of sisterhood that they could carry back with them in the hard times, to know that they can get through it. And that's what I think is so special about sisterhood. It's the evidence that you are not alone, and the fire that you need to carry you through very tough times, to know that you won't, the person across from you won't let you give up.
Ooh, that's so good.
Yeah, the evidence. The sisterhood is the evidence.
Right.
Wow.
Like, it's a sacred sisterhood is an unspoken language.
Yes.
It's an unspoken language. You just, it's in our DNA, it's in our marrow, it's in our being. Like, to Jane's point, like, you see someone, and you said this, when we saw each other, we thought we were returning home. We were returning to each other. And so it's this unspoken language. When you know, you know.
Yeah.
I think we take it for granted too. Something that you said, Gia, about especially Black women. And I remember years ago, I was at a conference, and it was a mixed group. It was a multicultural group. And I remember leading a session, and one of the women who was there, who was a white woman, and she said, what's unfortunate? I feel like my white sisters we don't connect the way Black women do.
Wow.
There's something about Black women that you gravitate towards each other and make alliances with each other in a way that we haven't been conditioned to. And I had never thought about it in that regard. And it really was illuminating for me. And it also helped me to just honor the specialness of these sacred spaces even more. And I do believe too, like, if we were able to have those sacred bonds with each other beyond just us as Black women, then what could happen? So I'm curious, and I know, like, this is just coming to me in the moment, like, is it possible to have these sacred spaces with people who may not look like you?
Ooh.
So that right there was an unspoken language, because all of us made a face here.
Man,
that hit deep.
I don't want to say no. I don't want to, because I'm a deeply optimistic person. However, historically, it has been very challenging to do that, because this world that we live in is built on an idea that benefits one part of that sisterhood more than the other part. And that often becomes when push comes to shove, the way that the one side of a sisterhood is informed to show up. And there's a blind spot that is like dangerous for us sometimes, that I think there has been a deep trust that has been broken, and it's going to take all the healing Avengers and sisters from the others. Maybe it's y'all that maybe y'all call it healers from every nation. Y'all come get to a meeting, because y'all I do. Because out here it's giving. I want to. I would love to. Like, I grew up, in Chocolate City, DC, when DC was black. And then my mother had us in like different, middle schools that were white. Like, I was the only Black girl. And I learned how to assimilate, but I never quite felt, and they were cool, they were sweet, but like, I wasn't old enough to know microaggressions. I knew I just didn't feel comfortable all the time. But I knew those were my girls, but I knew I was a Black girl. Like, so like,
yeah,
you can't say that wasn't 100% comfortable thing for me. But yeah, I would love to hear everybody else's point of view. I don't know.
I'm gonna be honest and say, not yet. Not yet. And I don't know if it will happen in my lifetime, because one of the cornerstones of sisterhood is safety. Yeah. And so for me, safety, I need to feel safe with you. That's the first litmus test. And so that's why I say not yet, because I do think, and people are in their different experiences as they show up as people identify as women, people in feminine bodies. Like, people have very different experiences, very different cultural, intersectional experiences. I don't put you in that sisterhood space until I feel the safety there. And historically, there has been a lack of safety outside of my community, and sometimes even within my community. But there is a different language that we speak, and that's cultural, right? All the melanated cultures, all cultures of the global majority have that. Because I don't say minorities, because you can't be a minority if it's more of y'all. But okay. So all cultures of the global majority have their thing, have their language, and that's okay. Where we can start seeing each other and connecting with each other, I think it's going to require a consistency of safety. That I think the healers, to Gia's point, I think a lot of healers internationally, we can kind of start doing some of that work to like test the waters and build that out. But it is going to take time, and it is going to take a long time. And I'm not pressed or stressed about it in the moment, because right now it's about, are you safe? And once you can prove that, we'll go from there.
Good Lord, that safety. I have so I have 2 older sisters. I'm the youngest of 3 girls. And when you talk about that safety, let me just tell you how. Ashley and Charity are down to ride, meaning if I ever had any issues, and we can have our own disagreements at home, we can have our own misunderstandings, but when we're out in the world, if anything were to go down, if I ever had any issues, I know I can look to my 2 sisters. They're going to always hold my best interests at heart. It was never a question. It was never a question that I'm safe, I'm protected. They're looking out for me. We have shared lived experiences, shared core values. Like, it's just, I didn't have to ask. I knew at a young age. At a young age, it was this understanding, like you talked about, ASEANTÉ, that unspoken language. Like, I know my sisters are down to ride for me. I never have to question, even in the midst of we're not seeing eye to eye right now, or we've had some disagreement. When we're out in the world, I feel safe because my sister is going to have my back. Never had to question
That's so big. That's so big. I'm realizing, as I'm listening to everybody, how there has been a shift for me lately, and I am finding that I am creating more sisterhood connections with women who do not look like me.
That's great.
And it is because of
That's so good.
safety
Mm-hmm.
and shared well, I'll say three things. It's safety in the space.
Mm-hmm.
It's discernment to recognize that they are safe. And three is a deep spiritual connection that I know, like, there's depth there. And I know that there is a, coming back to the common language, there's a deep resonance. We are all called to be healers,
Mm-hmm.
and it looks different, it manifests differently.
Mm.
And across the board, there's something that we share together that we can help each other grow with, even though our experiences culturally are very different. So I'm realizing that, like, I have this desire for us to for more of us to experience that, because I know that epigenetically, as Black people and as white people, and I would say even Indigenous people, focusing on the United States for a moment, there are things in ourselves, we are holding on to history that are far beyond what our personal experiences have had. And
Yes.
so I feel like it's up to us in this generation, in this group of healers, like, this is up to us to heal. And anyway, I know we could go on for days about
Yeah.
that, but this is so good. This is so yummy.
I love that, and I think it's fair to say we're not talking about, all women, all white women, all Latino women, all Asian women. I think there are sometimes those relationships that break through that are so special and so sacred too. I just think that, and especially in this time where division is literally
The currency.
the currency, right? I was about to be like raising the stock market, like quite literally, and dropping it, where division is the currency. What a beautiful undercurrent that we do have the opportunity to explore if we can step away from the noise. And I think what we were able to experience last week was a step away from the noise. Like, I remember sitting at tables with several of you all during several different moments, and nobody had their phones. People were leaving Ashanté, you left your phone.
I was heading to the airport.
It was like,
Wow.
is this you? Like, that's how much we would have to step away from our world and create a new space where people of all kinds can come and know you are safe here. It's just going to take representatives, like, call Noah, because it's going to take 2 by 2 of all different types of groups,
right,
to have the conversations, because we can't all go. And it has to be people who understand the covering and the kiki, that we are all imperfect, that we all come with our own trauma. It has to be people who know, you might remind me of that little girl at school who told the teacher that I did something that I didn't do. And you and her share the same bloodline. And I now can't see you as you. I see you as little Lizzie from the 5th grade. Like, there's got to be a lot of room for pain. Pain to be present in the fact that, like, I often wonder for our, white counterparts, especially, how they deal with the pain and the guilt of their ancestral baggage. Because, they didn't do, like, in this day, they didn't do it. But then also, as Black women, we were triggered in November.
Yep.
Right.
And so that discernment is now like,
it's bringing up so many good points. Gia, you mentioned even when Kylie dropped this potent question that could take us through this whole podcast, by the way. Is sisterhood
My bad.
possible? Mhm. Is sisterhood possible with people that don't look like us? Gia, you said not yet.
No, that was
And
Ashante. I said, I don't know.
You said, I don't know. Thank you for that. Ashante, you said not yet. And so it bears the question, what has to happen? And Gia, you're almost alluding to this idea of like some pain has to be present. And I'm imagining this pain has to be processed. So healing is required. Like, what has to happen for us to be able to identify sisterhood with those that don't look like us? Ashante, you said not yet. Like, what will get us to this yet?
I don't think I can only speak for me in that. When I say not yet, I don't mean I'm opposed to it. I truly mean not yet. And so once I feel safe with you, we in. We in. It's good. It is. But to Kylie's point, there is a discernment that I feel. There is a connection that I feel. And I do feel that, with other women of the global majority on a regular basis. When I think there's a difference between the individual sisterhood that you may feel in connection, you may feel with another person who may be from a different culture. And then there is the collective sisterhood that just comes with the experience of first having to survive as a Black woman and then being able to thrive in this country as a Black woman while still surviving in this Black woman or surviving in this country while still retiring our superwoman, while still being and doing and managing and running. There is just a understanding there. And so when I say not yet, I don't mean not ever. And I also am okay with, at this point in my life, not being the one that initiates the yet. I'm okay with not initiating it anymore. I'm okay with not holding it, fixing it, initiating it, making sure everyone's okay. I'm okay with show me. I have a firm foundation right here with those that are with me. I'm not saying you can't come in the house, but show me your shoes are clean. Show me your feet. Show me your spirit's clean. Show me I can be safe with you. And once you can prove that, and I will prove the same, ask the same of me because I believe in reciprocity. And once that's proven, we in there.
It's good. It's great.
There's this idea that I toil with often of how sometimes we do things alone or in isolation. We, meaning Black women. Sometimes it's a form of protecting ourselves. Sometimes it's a form of feeling safe when we don't always feel safe, right? This sense of being vulnerable, and a great mentor of mine says intimate instead of vulnerable, because vulnerable opens us up to this sense of harm, right? There's this idea of being vulnerable is not always safe. So then we almost default to isolation or doing it alone or doing all the things by ourselves. And I wonder, what would it be like or look like if we felt safe being more vulnerable and opening ourselves up to doing more things in groups and communities? And not saying that we don't, but there are a large majority that tend to do things alone and in isolation as a form of protection. So what would that look like? And how could that play out if we chose to be in more community with one another, embrace sisterhood with one another without the fear of, am I safe?
I think we have to really break down what safety means versus what we feel it to mean. Safety doesn't mean disappointment. Because for many of us, we have equated safety with disappointment. And when you're disappointed, you feel betrayed. When you feel betrayed, you don't feel safe. And those two aren't the same. You can feel safe with someone and be disappointed in their actions and their behaviors and their response to you, and how they've treated you. They can hurt you. They can hurt, like people you love the most hurt you, can hurt you the most, and you're still safe with them as a human. And you can be deeply disappointed and hurt by what they did. Because we as Black women have had so few moments of true safety disappointment feels like betrayal.
Mm.
And so for some of us, it's working on, I'm not betrayed, I'm just disappointed. And I get to just be disappointed. But how often do we get to actually feel those feelings?
Oof.
And so even with the people where it's like, are you safe? It's like, well, what if she hurts your feelings? Okay, that's going to happen. With sisters, you get your feelings hurt all the time. And you know, there's still the knowing that you still love me and you have my best interest at heart. And so I think some of our individual healing work is really parsing out being disappointed versus feeling betrayed. And when we feel betrayed by someone, because we finally put our trust in people, we don't put our trust in nobody. We finally put our trust in someone. And when we get hurt, we feel this betrayal, both of them, but more so of ourselves. Because like, how did I let myself get here? Nah, sis, that's not what this is. You can still be safe with this person and be upset with them. And so some of our work around vulnerability is differentiating between, did this person truly betray me, or did this person deeply disappoint me? And that requires a point of repair. And am I willing to repair with this person? I'm saying that because I'm struggling through that myself, not because I figured it out. Let me be clear.
I love that. I love that transparency.
So good. That was so good.
Yeah. Kylie, I felt like you were saying something or.
Yeah, no, I'm just taking that in. Like
Mhm.
that is huge. And yeah, I just wonder if we are able to operate in that space, how could our relationships be different? How could the strength of our relationships be different if we had that level of awareness as we're evaluating what safety is? So thank you for that, ASEANTÉ.
Mm. It is. It's almost like, and I don't know if this is, and I don't know if we're looking for cures for this epidemic, but it feels like there is healing required within our own communities first before we, take this to a larger population where we're integrating. It's like, what do we need to do to heal in our own communities, in our own sisterhood? Is that what you're saying, ASEANTÉ? Am I hearing that correctly?
Sure. Yes, I do think that is a piece of it. It's back to the put your own mask on first before you can put someone else's on. I do think there is some reconciliation and repair that needs to happen within our own communities because powers that be have intentionally fractured us.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so there is some reconciling, some repair, some grace, some apologizing, and some forgiving that needs to happen. So we do know my sister is not my enemy. She is my keeper. And with the understanding, skin folk, you know what? Skin folk ain't always kinfolk.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Because that's a different kind of betrayal when your people do it. And so just reconciling also that this isn't prescriptive.
Yeah.
It is going to have to be on a person-to-person, engagement, season-to-season basis. But we do got to do some work on ourselves. I think that's why last week was so beautiful.
Yeah. It's making me realize the individual work too, right? Like it's the individual work, then the community amongst each other work, then
The outer world.
expanding out,
Gross.
right? Because if I'm not healed, we can't heal as a community if I'm still holding on to things that happened, hundreds of years ago, or I'm still holding on to hurt and pain and trauma, and I'm still in trigger mode because I haven't done my work. There's individual and collective healing required.
Just the awareness to be like, I am being triggered. You are triggered. So, Gia's point, you are Lizzie from 5th grade. You are triggering me. I don't know what to do with that. I want to still be in a relationship with you, but I need a beat. And
Right.
being like, bet.
And I also think the beautiful part about where we are now, especially as Black people, is that we are more honest, that doing work isn't a bad thing, that you're not, quote unquote, crazy. Whatever old Black folk used to say, oh, she touched, so she needs to talk to a counselor. It could never be. I'm tired. I'm depressed. Like,
Yes.
Black women historically, in a general sense, not all Black women, but a lot of Black women didn't even have the time to say, I'm depressed. Black men were literally robots, like literal, they didn't ask, we didn't ask Black men how they were feeling. Like Black people didn't have feelings forever. And now I think, especially as this millennial generation, takes their place more, I think our biggest contribution to this experience of the Black experience in America has been that we have taken the taboo off of healing. And so I do think we are in a better space ourselves, like internally, to be able to have more of the conversations. I think people are able to say, Grandma, let's come and sit and watch, some of these healing podcasts. And did this ever happen to you? And she might not be able to receive it yet, but maybe your mom will, or maybe, your cousin, your older cousin will, and she could talk to your mama because she'd known your mama before you was born. Like there's a lot more internal work happening. And so, like ASEANTÉ said, maybe not in our lifetime, maybe Gen Z will be the lifetime where, there could be more communal healing. But I think we're still very much in the weeds of learning how to heal within our own familial structures, within our own communities, within our own backyards first, because there are still so many unsaid things and so many stories that we don't know about that informed how we came to be. Like, why does everybody unplug stuff in certain households when it starts raining? Like, why when like communities get gentrified? Like I want somebody to do studies about gentrification, because I feel like every Black community in this country is now gentrified, and I hate to see it. Also, riding through DC, like when I was growing up, every blind was closed, baby. There was you couldn't see in nobody's house.
Yes.
That is something that Black people do, because now when I ride through, I could see from the back to the front of all the houses.
Yes.
Like, imagine feeling that safe. That's why you, like, what? You just want people to be able to be like, I'm at a stoplight. That is a gorgeous painting. Like, what? We still close our blinds. We do not care.
Absolutely.
So even from that, just I think we are doing the work, and I think we can give ourselves some credit, because women like you, women who, even the Oprahs who were having the first conversations about healing and, breaking things down and inner work. And a lot of those people, a lot of her shows introduced people to the fact that inner work was a thing. So I think we're still getting there, and hopefully this progress will help us get to a space where we as a collective can come to the table with others and say, we've done our work. Have you done yours? Okay, let's get to work.
Good. It's so good. And I think too, Gia, that is, your podcast, for example, the Healed Girl Era podcast, to be able to have conversations like this where people tune in and it's no longer taboo. We're having the conversations. And two, I think it takes, you used the term healing Avengers earlier. I think it takes the healing Avengers to be the example. It's almost this idea of like, show her it's safe. Show your sister it's okay. Like we're the examples, and we're showing our moms and our grandmas and our nieces and cousins this healing era. It's safe to heal and be vulnerable and be transparent and talk language. Like I have a whole new vernacular of words that I didn't have before. Learning about triggers and all the things. And I can share it with my mom. I can share it with my sisters. It's now something that is becoming more common. ASEANTÉ, you mentioned, and we'll put you on the spot a little bit, but you mentioned you're healing a relationship, or you said, I'm going through this with, I think maybe it's a friend or relationship or something, when we were just talking about how we heal through that. How do we do that? Like when we have a falling out with maybe a friend, and that is often common, especially as we ascend in our careers and all of the things that we're doing. we start to be in spaces where it looks different, right? And you may notice that your friendship circle changes and it evolves. How do we hold on to relationships that may not be evolving as fast or in the same way as maybe our careers are or our trajectories in our purpose?
Mm.
How do you deal with that?
You want to talk about my specific situation or
If it applies,
the
I put
theory that I have around it?
I put two things out there. You choose what resonating right now.
Well, since I feel safe with y'all sisters, I can be honest with the piece around I had to come to the realization that like someone did something and they did a couple things and I was just so upset because I needed them there. Ooh, this is gonna go. Let's see how quickly I can do this. I needed them there and they weren't there, and I felt so betrayed and I felt so upset. And I had to pause for a moment and really sit there and be like, so girl, what has this woman's track record been? What has her track record been? Okay, if her track record hasn't been her being this, are you really betrayed? Or are you just really disappointed in her? And then I kind of went down this process of around with myself of like when I have felt betrayed, like why I feel so deeply betrayed when someone really hurts me and what that means. And then realizing a piece of that is like when you have to grow up when you're really young and you're parentified really young, and a lot of young Black girls don't get to be young Black girls. We have to, especially those of us, I'm going to say especially those, all of us on some level had to grow up really early between the ages of 6 and 11. And so there is a world where when you get around people where you get to kind of have some of that childlikeness again, and they do something to hurt you, the betrayal feels deeper because it doesn't feel like they're betraying you. They're betraying the 6-year-old you, the 8-year-old you that felt safe with them. And that's not on them. That wasn't their intent. For some people it might be, but for the people who really care about you, that wasn't their intent. And so I really had to sit with, you're not betrayed by this person. You're triggered by what's coming up right now. That's where you have to do on you. This girl still loves you. Y'all still people. You were disappointed by her and you get to name that and speak to that. But this, you're feeling it at about an 8 when it probably is a 4 situation. That's not on her. That's for you to work through. And for other people, I'm like, oh no, that was a full-on betrayal. Full-on hard stop, 100%. You got me.
You won't get me again. I'm just
won't do it again. Or close. Fool me once. Won't get me twice. But that requires my awareness and my growth and me doing the filtering of how much of this is about them and how much of this is actually about me and my stuff and my ish and what I need to work on and what I'm projecting and adding on to it. And that's hard because, you know, sometimes you would rather people, sometimes we would rather choose pity over power.
Ooh.
We would rather choose pity over power because when you've always had to be the strong one, it feels good to be able to be the victim.
Oh, can you say that again?
No, don't say it again. It hurt the first time.
Well, it hurt me too. So join me in sisterhood around this pain. I realized I was choosing pity over power. And because I've been strong for so long, I prefer to be the victim. It felt better to be the victim. But that means someone had to be the villain. And
come on.
It's never that easy. But I had to realize that about me, and that's how I was showing up. And I was the common denominator in a lot of these things. So where do I need to do my work? So that was my stuff. I would say collectively, as people are thinking through how to manage the seasons and evolutions of friends, think about it like a banquet. Like you're at a big banquet hall and there's all these beautiful round tables and you're at the head table. And there are people in your life that are at those front 3 tables with you, right? They're either at the head table or at those front 3 tables with you. What happens is people at those front 3 tables, sometimes they need to get moved to a middle table. Sometimes they might need to get moved to the back table. But we don't know what to do because we don't want the people out of our lives. Because some folks are like, all I have is toxic people in my life. I get rid of everybody. I won't have anyone. That's a different conversation. But what you can do to work on your healing is maybe they don't need to be at the lead table with you anymore. Maybe they need to get moved to a back table.
Yeah.
And so that means you give them less access to you, less opportunity and less engagement with you. They aren't cut out of your life altogether. But in this season, maybe they're in the back table, and someone from a different table may need to be moved up front. And so it's not removing these people who genuinely care, but just may need some time to get to know this version of you. The ones that are toxic, get rid of them. But the ones that care and just may need some time, maybe don't kick them out the banquet, but reposition them at a different table for a while.
A
Come
whole
on.
word,
Good.
sis.
It's
A
great.
whole word. And you talked about, like, we're going to pivot a little bit. Those that are holding space, like, have you ever been carried forward or held by someone in this idea of sisterhood? What does it look like to hold space for someone? And we talked about the covering and the different things like that, but maybe it's what stands out when someone is actually holding space for you, like a sister that is showing up. Like, what is that experience like? And I love the idea of moving the tables around. What does it look like if you're maybe moving someone from that back table to the front table?
Last week.
Right. I'm like, that's wild.
Last
That's
week.
wild. I'm still experiencing it. Like just sitting with it. Like I had therapy yesterday and I was telling my therapist about last week. And I was just like, being the oldest girl, being the oldest child, I have always wanted big sisters. And I found them in different seasons of my life. And I think I'm finally in the space where so much of my day-to-day looks different that when I get familiar things, I'm able to sit in them differently and enjoy them, be grateful for them. And so this was my third Accelerate Her. And every time me, Jovian, Zane, Brittany Packnett Cunningham, and Lovey Ajayi Jones, and Naima, we, often get these moments in our hotel rooms where we can just like be whatever. Like usually somebody's packing to leave first, and we just talk and talk and talk. And people are like, "Where y'all been?" It's like, "Girl, child, we was up in there until 3 a.m. talking." And it's so special. Like there's something that happens when you don't have to leave a space and you could just be yourself, and nobody's calling on you to be something or somebody. No one's even calling on you to be mommy or auntie or anything. Like when I get to experience them and just be present with them, I'm so grateful because life is so busy. And I think those are the moments where I feel the most seen, the most heard, the most held, and it does something to your soul. Like it does something that reminds you that you're not alone in this world, that there are people also struggling, but there are people also who see you. And I think Dr. Naima, shout out to Dr. Naima. I had a session with her, and Lovey and I were just talking about like how she just looks through you. Like there's something about that them eyes where you just, what girl, I'm impressed. Like it is why I could not put words to it when my therapist asked me, but I was just like, there was a part of me that needed to know that I wasn't crazy for my dreams. And oftentimes in this industry, entertainment, that's so fickle, when you meet people with your worry, they match you with it. They're like, yeah, girl, you got to quit. Dump you, pack your bags, yo. You got crazy, this done. And it's real. I was like,
yes.
And Dr. Naima just looked at me and was like, you're gifted and amazing. And what, like, and she didn't have to, before she said anything, it was like a knowing. Like the knowing that you still matter and still are here and still have a presence that is doing something, impacting people. She didn't even have to say nothing. And she was just like the mirror that was like, and so what you gonna do? It's tough. And still. So I just, there's something spiritually that happens that unlocks the version of you that is hiding from the world because of pain, because of betrayal, because of the things that have happened in your life. And it reminds you to let that little 6-7-year-old girl cook, She
Yeah.
right there, but
Yeah.
she's hidden under like all the different things that have hurt you, the older adult that have put her away, because now we have to fight. So that was a lot, but yeah, like just we
Good.
experienced it all last week.
We did. We did. No instructions required. I'm thinking about that moment where actually, Gia, you were hosting karaoke one night.
Wow.
And we formed an impromptu choir, y'all, that just came together because we know, like, you didn't tell us what to do. And there were hundreds of women. I think we even split up into our 3-part harmony. Like,
We did. ASEANTÉ was at the
Ashanti was
front
choir
directing.
it was a choir. ASEANTÉ took on the role of choir director.
Mhm.
Listen, it was no instructions required. And it was because we knew, it was like our knowing of, this is in us. We know what it means. We know how to put together a choir. And when I tell you, it was on point, y'all. Like, we sounded good. We looked good. And I felt the spirit. I don't know about
No,
y'all.
honestly, I felt
For
the
real.
spirit show up. And at one point, I stopped and looked around, and to see Black women say, "Rain down on me," in the midst of these moments, in the midst of our resources being pulled left and right.
Yes.
It reminded me that we
Yes.
serve a God who is limitless and undeniable, and that we stand on sisters' shoulders who have had to make more with less. And when we ask God to rain down, he's going to. So watching that moment where women released and was like, rain down on me, something did break. Like we were joking the whole time, because throughout the karaoke moments, they kept coming back to the Golden Girls theme song, and then we would do the Black version with the and every time we would end it like, hallelujah, thank you, Lord. But
started from the bottom, now we're here.
and then people was like, oh, wait a minute, that was a little anointed. Hold on. And then I was just like, don't make me get on the melody. And I tell you,
say less. The moment you were like, oh, we're doing.
Then the DJ, shout out to the DJ. Dang.
Yes.
Oh, I got to DJ. She from Houston. She bombed. I gotta remember her name. But she dropped it, and child, we was Kirk Franklin in the 90s.
We were, yes.
Ready. Everybody was ready. We didn't have to prepare or prep. And I think that gets back to this knowing, like the unspoken part of it that you feel in your spirit and your soul. And it connects us in a way that we don't have to use the words. Like my rain, I was saying rain for all the things I've been through. Some other woman was saying rain for all the things she'd been through, but I felt it. I felt her. I knew her story. She knew mine. Like we connected in a way that you can't put words to. It's hard to describe.
It was like the last time we felt safe as a child, that age, that girl came out. And so 7-year-old Shawnee, because that's what my family calls me. 7-year-old Shawnee was in the room.
Yeah.
You ask, like, how do you know? I'm like, because 7-year-old Shawnee can be like, she cool. I'd play with her. It's fun. And when she says that, I'm like, all right, I'm good. And so all of we were grown women dancing, but all of us were those little girls in youth choir.
Man.
Singing that song together.
Man.
Yes.
So sisterhood is really when you can see your little sis. You can see you as a little sis. That 5, 6, 7, 4, 3, unfortunately for some people, 3-year-old version, like they get to, that's who comes into the room. But we have to trust her.
Yeah.
Because she's real.
And in order to have safety, we need to be safe. We need to be safety for others, right? And that comes through healing.
Yeah.
Whew, so good. So good.
There's okay, so quick story time. So when I was in undergrad, shout out to Hampton University. When I was in undergrad, I know Gia, just thank you. Right, just keep it.
We gonna talk offline.
I love
it. Okay. And you got your blue on. You look so good.
Oh, I don't even think about this. Actually, shout out to all HBCUs because
Spelman,
all the HBCs and U's. And all the ERG groups and the PWIs, we see you. So I decided one year I wanted to drive from Hampton back to Texas because I don't like nice things like sleep. And so the first year, my homegirl was driving back to Houston. So she drove her car, I drove my car. So we drove together, got back to our respective states, cities. It's about a 25, 27-hour drive. Road trip.
Wow.
Because I wanted to see if I could do it, because I love road trips. I love being on the
Mm.
road. I love everything about it. The next year, I was like, I can do this myself. I think I can. 25 hours, I can go straight through light work. And I did straight through light work. I had, as long as I had bottled water, hot Cheetos, and donuts, I was good. This was my 20-something-year-old diet, because you can't fall asleep if your mouth's on fire.
Shout out to your 20s.
Shout out to my 20s, living on that for 25 hours. But the thing I experienced on that solo trip was I got to go through like the Tennessee mountains, like an actual mountain in Tennessee, and see the sunset there and see the sunrise in Alabama. And I had all these beautiful breakthrough moments. And I got home and I felt so accomplished and so exhausted. I was like, oh, I did it. And then I slept for another day or so. Separately, when I go on road trips with girlfriends, all of us have a role in the car, right? You get to rotate who drives. You get to rotate who's at the wheel. You get to rotate who's going to do what. You got that one friend that can't drive for nothing. Bless her heart, she can't drive, but she's in charge of the music, and she manages the music the whole time. You have the other friend that don't let her drive at night, because if she drives at night, we all gonna crash. She's in charge of the food. But if everyone's doing their part and everyone's doing their thing, by the time we get to the destination, not only am I not exhausted, I'm invigorated. And I'm ready for what's next. And I think that's what happens a lot in life. We can do a lot of things on our own on the solo trips, and we will accomplish it and it'll be beautiful, but we'll be exhausted at the end. But if we do it in the community, if we do it in the road trip way, and everyone takes their role and everyone rotates roles when they need to, and they feel safe to do that with each other. No, it's not just the destination that just feels exciting, but it's the entire journey. And I think that sisterhood feels like we're on this, like we're collecting people in our car right now for this road trip, and the journey feels exciting versus exhausting like it has been for so long for us. I think November 2nd gave us a chance to be like, ooh, we need to get on a party bus. What we doing? Like, I'm not driving this car by myself anymore. And I feel like that we were in that kind of energy. Last week, and it's carried us through now.
So good. So good. Yeah, it's what you just said, ASEANTÉ. I think it's a great segue to a closing question around this idea of beyonding. So this is the Beyonding podcast, and I would love for each of you to talk about, when you hear that word beyonding, what does that mean to you? And how do you think the power of sisterhood can help to fuel more beyonding in one's life?
That's really good.
And maybe not only fueling, but supporting.
Right. No. It's a beautiful question. It's something I've never thought about, because I don't use the word beyonding. But
So welcome. You're part of the community now.
Right.
It is beyonding.
Beyonding. I feel very grown when I say it. I think beyonding, when I hear that word, I think of removing the ceilings for our own inner expectations, our own inner growth, and our own inner ceilings that we have put up for ourselves for our own protection. I think so many of the versions we get to be are first in our minds, and we have to take off those varying ceilings, limitations, beliefs that we've carried that have limited who we can be or who we are. I think beyonding is showing up for that version of you that knows there's more, knows there's something else on the other side of that conversation that you haven't been having, and that workout that you haven't been going to, and that diet that you haven't started, and that business plan that you put away for the 12th year in a row, and that podcast you haven't put out. Like all the beyonding is putting, and that's attack to me too now. If we get attacked for, that was all to me. Hallelujah. That was to me.
We all felt it though.
If you felt it,
Yep.
you went, oh. And yes, I have a lot of stuff that I need to go beyond. Amen. And
I think that is that commitment to show up, even though we don't know what's in the beyonding. Like we truly don't know what that version looks like. And it's having the courage to say, I'm curious enough about her to go beyond my own limitations, to meet her, and then to sustain her. And I honestly think that is the scariest part of beyonding. And that's where sisterhood can help support us. That's where, when you state your intentions, Jovian had us state our intentions at the top of the conference. Like, beyonding looks like the sister on the other side of you who's equally as afraid of her own beyonding process, calling you higher when she sees you choosing lower because it's safer down there. I think it's the mutual respect and the mutual commitment that helps us support us to become the versions that we are ultimately afraid to be. And I think it's that accountability, that knowing that person that's your rider that can help you in your beyonding, in whatever phase that you're in. And so I think that's where sisterhood and beyonding connect.
Whew.
Potent.
Right?
Wow.
Word.
Thank you.
Well, that's it, right? We done.
Right.
Okay.
And thank you for joining us.
I want to hear.
So funny. My name on the interwebs long ago used to be Beyond Intention. Because intentions are good, but actions are better. And so everything that Gia is saying right now, it really is like going beyond the intention, the idea, like what comes after that. And most of the time we won't step out into that because we call it feeling safe, but really is just feeling familiar, and familiar isn't safe. It's just familiar.
Oh, you better.
Wow.
You better.
Okay, attacked. Okay, attacked.
Both of us
Coming back.
Self-attack. Yeah. So I everything that Gia is saying, and it really is exploring, is it safe or is it just familiar?
Yeah.
And if it's just familiar, go beyond that. And putting that litmus test to everything that you already know in your heart that you need to make that shift and that change around. And the intention of wanting to do it, trusting it with a sister, trusting it with someone to be like, I'm going to fight you this whole way through this journey. Just keep pulling me along. I invite you to check me, to pull me along, because we can't do this on solo road trips. And so beyonding looks like going beyond the what's familiar, to what you're actually called into.
Yes, jump me into my purpose.
Yes.
Yes.
Ready, coach. Kylie, how about you?
You know, I love the analogy that you gave, ASEANTÉ, about the road trip. And this life is not meant to be a solo sport. So when I think about what I can do on my own, like there's only I cannot engage with the act of beyonding, like truly going beyond on my own. Like there's a limit to what I can do. But if I can engage my sisters in the process, they can help push me beyond my limits. They can help provide resources and insights and wisdom that's beyond what I can think of on my own or come up with on my own or can do and be on my own. So there's a collective rising that happens when we can connect with our sisters. And so it just feels like it's critical. It's critical. And I'm thinking about, this is, what are we on, episode 4?
I think so.
And just about everyone has talked about this, has
Mhm.
talked about sisterhood in some way, connection in some way, because it can't be a by yourself thing. It's just there's limits to that.
Yeah.
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 What about you,
Mm.
Myra?
For me, this is beyonding. And I say it jokingly because that's like our tagline, but truly and wholeheartedly, it is to be in spaces like this with women like you all, where I've often felt like I didn't see myself in these spaces, or I didn't belong, or I didn't have enough degrees, credentials, certifications. And last week, to show up in the space and be so loved on, poured into, titles didn't matter. There wasn't this hierarchy. It wasn't any of that. All of that was thrown out the door before you walk in the door. And to be able to relate to women that I look up to, that I just think are amazing, and to be able to have conversations and know that, this is a sister, right? It felt like community. I felt safe. I felt full when I left. I still feel full. And I know it's just the beginning. This is, to me, what beyonding is. This is what sisterhood is. We joke that, sisterhood is a verb. It's showing up for your sister. It's being there. It's dragging them along. It's Kylie Lovey calling you when she reads a newsletter that you wrote, and it's like, sis, put
That's
your heart
sisterhood.
into it. That's
For real.
sisterhood. That's sisterhood, right? So to me, this is it. This space right here is it. And I'm so grateful for you ladies. I said it at the top of the hour. I was thrilled, first of all, that you all said, yes, that's sisterhood too. Because when I say we gave them maybe 48 hours notice,
If
like
that.
if that, and you all showed up. And I am forever grateful. So blessed and honored to be in sisterhood with you all. For those listening, I hope that you got something out of this. I hope that it just plants a seed in your soul, in your spirit, and just grows and flourishes and bears fruit. We hope that you will join us again on the Beyonding podcast. Thank you to ASEANTÉ. Thank you to Gia for being here with us and sharing your insight, your love, your spirit, and your sisterhood. This is Beyonding.
Woo!
Thank you,
Thank
ladies.
you.
Having us.